The impeachment of Donald John Trump, President of the United States of America, for threatening judges and for calling for the execution of members of Congress. If ever there was a person who ought to be impeached, it's Donald John Trump. Now, there are many people who don't want to see this happen. They don't want to vote for impeachment. Well, there were people who didn't want to cross the Edmund Pettus Bridge, but they marched on. I shall march on. I've been told that this vote will take place sometime after 1:30 today. I assure you I'll be here for that vote. I will also speak on Friday for about 1 hour after about 11 o'clock. I will explain more about it at that time. This president is a reckless, ruthless, lawless person who doesn't deserve the title of president.
Letter and why 150 members putting their names on a document demanding Trump's immediate removal represents such an unprecedented escalation that makes his continued presidency essentially impossible, regardless of whether the 25th Amendment actually gets invoked. The letter apparently cites the 43-day government shutdown that finally ended in mid-November as primary evidence that Trump is unable to perform basic presidential functions like negotiating with Congress to keep the federal government operating. 43 days is the longest shutdown in American history, and it happened not because of some intractable policy dispute that reasonable people couldn't resolve, but because Trump was so consumed by his legal problems and so psychologically unable to compromise or engage in normal governance that he just let the government stay closed for over 6 weeks, while federal workers missed multiple paychecks and critical government services ground to a halt. The congressional letter apparently points to specific instances during the shutdown where Trump refused to meet with congressional leaders, where he spent days posting unhinged social media rants instead of negotiating budget deals, where his own staff couldn't get him to focus on the actual work of ending the crisis because he was obsessed with perceived enemies and conspiracy theories.